another nifty thing about this camera is that the boxing stuff that you saw, I actually used a little lens that was off of a 16mm camera. It was a 25mm Switar that's about this big. It's like this little teeny thing, and I screwed it on the front. And so that vignetting that you might have seen on the image was actually, that wasn't a post-production thing. That's actually the vignetting of the lens itself, but I thought that actually kind of helped the look. But that's why it wasn't intimidating at all, because I had this little camera with a lens like this big. It looked like a Fisher-Price toy. I'm kind of wandering around, and I got all those shots.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There's a shot in the city of cars that looked like it was almost like a tilt shift.
Yeah, yeah, and actually my dad, who's here,
Is that what you were using?
he generously gave me a Canon FD tilt shift lens, and which is a fantastic lens. And so yeah, my wife works downtown in the big Darth Vader building downtown, and I was on the 30th floor and got some shots. I want to go back and really do just a whole tilt shift. The tilt shift lens, what that is, to let you guys know, is it was originally designed to shoot pictures of architecture so that you could kind of straighten out the perspective of buildings. But what the interesting artifact is artistically is that it makes parts of the frame in focus and parts of the frame out of focus, that it's independent of what you actually... So weirdly enough, when you shoot large landscapes with this lens, it makes them look like tabletop miniatures, because it gives it this instant, weird, shallow depth of field. So you've probably seen it in music videos and other things. Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford used a lot of tilt shift lenses for their shots, so it's pretty nifty. So that's the cool thing about this camera, is you can buy all these kind of eccentric lenses. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, I've used a lens baby.
Yeah, lens babies, which are actually cheaper.
Oh, this is so cool. Yeah, it's a cheap little lens.
Yeah.
What did you do for lighting in the loft?
Do you want the whole deal?
No, just like, I mean, I guess the question being, how bare bones was it?
It was lit. See, that's and this is what Rich's and my ideas too, is that, you know, if you still want your stuff to look glossy, Hollywood kind of, you have to light it like a movie. Yeah. I mean, you can get lucky and might be in a lighting scenario that looks fantastic, but more often than not, reality doesn't cooperate with you, and it, you know, stuff is overexposed or underexposed. So that scene was lit. You know, like we had like 5 lights carefully controlled, and I had a meter, and you know, it was lit. And so to get the best out of these things, if you're really passionate about this stuff, like if you really want to do it in terms of, say, like cinematography, then I would say, in addition to acquiring one of these cameras, you know, learn about lighting, you know, watch movies, listen to the commentary, learn as much as you can, and learn about the art and the techniques of lighting, because those principles are not going to go away. Like, no matter how the technology changes, you may need to use smaller lights because the things get more sensitive, but you still need to light things. And a quick example would be, because I know some, again, when you're online on these forums and all these people that are loving these cameras, a lot of them, they just want to not have to do anything. Like, I want fast lenses and a low light camera so that I can just turn on and go. Well, in some ways that's true, but let's say you're shooting a horror film and you want it to look dark, moody, mysterious, and very film noirish, but what you've got is a room with fluorescent lights on the ceiling, and that's all you got. Well, if you crank on the fluorescence, is that going to give you enough light? Yeah. But is that going to look dark, moody, and horror? No, not necessarily. So then, all right, well, let's turn those off. Now we've got a black room. Is that scary? Maybe, but I can't see anything at all. So what do? Well, lighting. You know, so that's still going to be a principle of movie making.
Yeah, as well as buying a camera, it's a good idea to even buy a small light kit so you can practice fundamentals of lighting, and you can really do some things with it too. So that'd be a good thing to have.
Yeah. So it's not a camera versus what I could achieve with, say, even the DVX 100, which when it came out cost 3 times as much as this camera. I can do a lot cooler stuff with this camera than I ever could with the DVX. So there are, you know, there's an inherent good in the technology too. So, but
yeah, lighting is so important, because I do a lot of TV commercials, and pardon me?
I need to show yours.
Oh, we will. But one thing I was going to talk about was, before I started shooting the Vericam and this little camera, I was shooting with the Panasonic DVX 100, 100A, and I'm telling you, if you have good lighting and you've got everything together, you know, it's a wardrobe, it's makeup, it's set design, it's lighting. If you shoot those little cameras and light them properly, they look great.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
I shot a lot of things that people in the post house would say, "What'd you shoot this on?"
Yeah.
Because it looked so
Oh, yeah,
good.
good standard def can look better than badly lit HD or
Absolutely.
badly lit film.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. And actually, clients couldn't tell the difference, and that was kind of a problem because I wanted to up the budgets, but they were going, "Well, look, you shot this little cheap tape camera before; it looked fine." They couldn't tell the difference between high def and the standard def. So, oh well. But okay.
probably after we show yours, we're probably at the Q&A portion. Yes.
Oh yeah, we do that. We've kind of been doing that, but I think we've kind of covered a lot of this stuff.
Right.
We might talk. Well, maybe mine will get us into the post-production
Oh yeah.
plan too, because we do have a few things we want to talk
and Mark
about.
had a question about posts. Shall we show yours?
Sure. And I'll set this up. I'll tell you. But this is a 30-second spot I did. And I shot, it's using the mascots of KU, K-State, and MU, and I shot the mascots on a green screen with the Vericam, and then I shot all the backgrounds. Everything else you see in there is shot with this camera. And good or bad, it was shot in the worst part of this year we've had, right in the dead of winter in January and February, but that's when I had to shoot it. But this camera saved that shoot, because I could literally go out to these locations and scout them, and the weather might have been 20 degrees, the wind was blowing 15, and I could sit in my car. I mean, it wasn't as simple, but I could scout the area, drive up to where I was going to shoot, you know, frame it from in the car or whatever, set the tripod outside, and then get out, throw the camera on the tripod and shoot the darn thing, and then get back in the car. Whereas I didn't want to stay out in the cold weather, frankly, and didn't know what would happen with the camera anyway, and didn't want to be out there with a wind chill of 0 degrees. So that was the kind of conditions this camera was shot in. I didn't know if it would work. It was the first thing I really did with it. And Bazillion Pictures, the animation company, took the footage, and I told them, I said, okay, this is a test. I shot some and took it in, and I said, you tell me if it works for you. And they said, yeah, it looks great. In fact, the owner bought one of the cameras or had it right at the same time or something. And so that is how this was shot. So it composited the mascots with the backgrounds. And we'll talk more about post-production process and whatever as we go. Kill the lights again. We might play it a couple times, just a few things to see. Yeah, unlike Todd, I like to do a lot of post-production coloring and effects and all that. Not so much special effects, but I like to do a lot of coloring and contrast and just mess with everything. This was supposed to look more like, if you see it on TV, it isn't real sharp and hard and crisp. It's supposed to look more like an old spaghetti western, thus the music. And so that's why it has that kind of look to it. But Bazillion Pictures did all the compositing. What else should I say? Oh, we added a few things. We added birds flying in one thing. We added some sunspots on the lens in a couple other. Most of the shots have the sky removed and a new sky put in, because it was not that pretty. It was just ugly. So that helped give a lot of atmosphere. They added some fog. They added concrete flying up there. In almost every one of the shots, I tried to add traffic to show that it was a real shot. It wasn't a photo. And so you're seeing a lot of traffic. But all these were shot in really cold weather. And then they created the basketballs, and I shot this master shot of the stadium and the people and all that. They added a little white van.
Now, were the people in the original footage, or were they composited in too? Or?
No, I shot all the people you see in here are in the background shots.
Cool.
Yeah, those are actors outside of Sprint Arena.
Cool.
So that's how that came down. Post-production process is when I shoot, I like to, like I say, let the post house digitize everything.